Blanket vocal booths. We're going to talk about and explore the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Jan Anderson. I'm a voice actor. Anyway, we're here to talk about blanket voiceover booths. And I sort of preface this, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Uh, so anyway, let's just cut to the chase. I'm going to go in reverse order. Okay. So first we're going to talk about the ugly. Okay. Um, and that's just the fact that, well, first of all, let me share my screen for just a minute and then I'll come back. All right. So what I've done here is I'm sharing my computer screen, which I think you can see now. And all I've done here is I've typed into my Google browser VO blanket booth. And I've clicked on the images tab, which is right here. And all these pictures come up from a web search about VO blanket booths. So typically when you see something called a blanket booth, you're talking about something kind of like this. You know, you can see that the frame here is made from PVC pipe and it's surrounded by, looks like moving blankets, but then, oops, they blew it here with a shower curtain. I can see a grommet right here, shower curtain. That's no good. But the floor is covered with carpet. That's a good thing. Essentially, you're encapsulating yourself in heavy blanket material. So that's essentially what it is. Now, if I just, let me see if I can get rid of this picture here. Scrolling around here, I say the ugly because, well, they're not particularly attractive. Look at this one. Yikes. That's a three-sided one. You know, it ain't pretty. This one doesn't even reach the floor. Let's see. Let's see if we can find a really ugly one. Just so I can make my point. I guess the real point I'm trying to make here is that, you know, for most people who don't have a spare bedroom or something like that, where you can tuck one of these away, this doesn't really suit a lot of people's definition of good-looking style and design that you want to have in your living room. And I get that. That's totally, here's one that's sort of put together with some clamps. This one looks pretty effective, actually. Actually, it's not that bad. Nice tight corners around here and stuff. Anyway, so that's what I'm talking about when I say ugly. It's not really ugly per se. I mean, it's a matter of taste. To me, it's not ugly. It's utilitarian, you know, and you can, and nothing, there's no rule that says you can't dress it up. You know, once you've got those big, most of these moving blanket booths, the blankets themselves are dark blue, black, something like that. Nothing, there's no rule that says you can't dress it up on the outside or on the inside for that matter. I mean, when you build a frame, or if you buy a kit or you build your own, you can essentially do whatever you want on the inside as long as you have it covered with those thick, heavy blankets, whether they're made specifically for audio treatment or if they're just the thickest, heaviest quilted moving blankets you can buy at the home improvement store. That's what you want. Mass, heavy, something that's going to absorb the sound of your voice. Why do people go for this option if it's ugly? Well, because it's very reasonably priced. You can buy a kit from a good company like, there's one called Vocal Booth To Go. Let's look at one of theirs. I'm going to share my screen again here. I found it. Okay, this one right here. Now, this one is, as I said, by a company called Vocal Booth To Go. They've got a great reputation and they make solid options for blanket booths, or as my friend Jim Edgar would say, a soft-sided booth. He's a lot more classy than I am. He's just a classy guy in general. Very knowledgeable. Shout out to Jim Edgar. Hey, Jim! Anyway, this is an offering from Vocal Booth To Go. This one's probably about 4 feet wide. It's probably 3 foot deep by 6.5 or 7 feet tall, probably. This will probably sell for $800 to $1,000. Don't quote me on that. I'm guessing, but they're not inexpensive. But the point is that you can buy them as a kit, and they're very effective. They do a great job. Plenty of people work in um, these blanket booth or soft-sided booths who are professionals who do this every day for a living. So they're very effective. Some people think that it's a starter. It's something that you do when you're first starting out. That might be the case. Maybe you graduate to something else, whether it's a full-on isolation booth or something more along the lines of this, a fully treated room where you can record and have great sounding audio. But you know, it kind of makes me a little nuts sometimes when people say, oh, well, it's a starter option or that's a starter microphone because it's affordable. That's ridiculous. If it sounds good, it sounds good. If it sounds pro, then it's pro level. So anyway, a blanket booth can be completely pro level. Okay, so we've talked about the ugly, and I've gone off on tangents like I normally do. Let's talk about the bad. And again, there's nothing bad about these necessarily. It's about your expectations. Essentially, you're building yourself a little room within a room, a little padded room within a larger room that will capture the sound of your voice and dampen it so that it won't reflect off the walls as much. Those, some people call them flutter echoes or reverberation, or, there are various terms for different types of bounce back off the walls and getting into your microphone. That's a no-no in professional audio, which is why you never want to record your voiceovers in a completely untreated environment. It ain't good enough. Okay. So anyway, so the bad here is, sorry, my phone captured my attention. Squirrel. The bad here is that these are not isolation booths. They will do virtually nothing to block out environmental noise, like traffic outside your home, people inside your home, noises from inside your home, appliances, air traffic outside, people mowing the lawns and, just environmental noise, stuff around your neighborhood. It can be more detrimental to people who live in a high density environment, like a city or something like that, on a busy street with buses going by pretty frequently and a lot of traffic noise. You're probably going to need something. A blanket booth probably won't do it for you. They do not provide any sense of isolation or soundproofing. People use that phrase incorrectly all the time about soundproofing. That's a discussion for another time. What they are really good at, as I said, is helping to contain your voice to prevent room reflections from getting into your microphone. That's the most important thing. Okay, so that's the bad. Seriously, okay, so they're not the most pretty thing in the world. Okay, great. Okay, manage your expectations. These things are not soundproof. They are not isolation booths. Okay? Let's talk about the good, finally. Okay. As I've already discussed, a big part of the what am I trying to say? A big part of the appeal here is that they do their job very effectively. They manage room reflections and make a nice sounding, tight environment. Sometimes you might have to use a couple layers of blankets if you're building your own. Remember, you can buy these pre-made by companies like Vocal Booth To Go. There are others. I don't shop for these things very often, but I have seen other options on Amazon. Just make sure that they are built with heavy materials. You want to be draped in heavy, thick materials, top to bottom, floor to ceiling. Now, let's talk about DIY options. They're easy to build. That's another very appealing aspect. Everything that you need to buy to build one of your own can be found at the home improvement store. Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards. Is that what it is? Menards. Sorry, I live on the West Coast. We don't have that chain around here. So all you really need is a few simple things. Most people make theirs with PVC pipe. Schedule 40, 1-inch diameter PVC pipe. It's strong enough, stout enough, so that if you design and build this thing, it will carry the weight of these heavy blankets. Okay, now um, that's the other thing. Using PVC pipe and fittings for all the angles and the T's and things like that to design your booth are very inexpensive. Um, all found in the plumbing department. You don't have to glue these things together. You just push the pipes into the fitting as far as it'll go, and that's generally good enough. That way, it also keeps it portable. You can break the whole thing down, throw it in a closet if you need the room for something else, or take it with you to your next location. Makes it very portable. Um, and then you just buy the heaviest, thickest quilted moving blankets you can find. Um, Now, when you buy them, you might need three, four, five of these things to cover a booth. It depends upon your design. But when you buy these things, typically they come in like a cellophane envelope, and they're flat. They're really compressed. Before you put them on your frame, throw them in your clothes dryer for 10 minutes on low, just to fluff up the fibers. Fluff it back up. That'll help make the blanket more effective at capturing the sound. Um, and that brings me to my next thing. If you're DIYing it, you can build this thing to whatever specifications you want. And however big, if you like to stand while you're recording, build one that's tall enough. I sit most of the time when I record. So when I was building mine, I actually did use one of these things for a while. Let me get that cursor out of here. When I was building mine, when I was designing mine, I took into the consideration that I sit most of the time when I record. There's no right or wrong here. Just do you. You do you. Okay. And so I built mine. I designed mine to be essentially a 5-foot cube. And let me show you pictures. I can do show and tell. Okay, here's a little backstory. So here's my 5-foot cube frame. Now, this is not located in the house where I lived. My wife and I were moving from the Bay Area of California up here to Salem, Oregon, and we did not have a home yet. So for the first several months, we lived in Airbnbs. And so this was the first Airbnb that we stayed in. And I was just setting it up. So this is what the framing looks like. I used elbows and T fittings. I've got these nice cross members here to provide stability and support. And then I just left this side, the side that we're facing, completely open with no cross bracing. I think I had one down at the bottom. Yeah, I'm sure I did. A nice square at the bottom just to keep everything together, kind of mirroring what I did at the top here. Okay, so that way I could just drape a blanket over and close it off entirely. Now, one thing that you can't see here, I also had a blanket on the floor because this was hardwood up in this sort of loft bedroom here. See, that's the bed in this loft bedroom here. My computer monitor, I used one of my two speakers here along with my headphones. But anyway, this is just another view. Now here's a picture of what this looked like in another of our Airbnbs. Not the greatest picture here, not the best quality, but as you can see, I've got a light in here. I've got a fluorescent light that I was using because it is dark in there. Use something, speaking of lighting, use something that is cool burning. Like, you don't want incandescent lights in there. Those things are warm, and these things get stuffy as it is. Any isolation booth will. So use either LED, fluorescent's okay, but LED is optimal. So let me okay, here's one where actually I'm in the room that I'm in now. This was while I was We had moved into our house. I didn't have this room outfitted yet. You can see that I don't have carpet on the floor. This is it looks like I had just framed the partition wall that I put in here. Things are not arranged as they are now, but this worked out really well. You can see, obviously, I don't have the back blanket draped down below me or in back of me here. Um, Whenever I was recording, yes, that would flip down in back of me, so I was completely contained. So anyway, that's how I used my blanket booth. I worked in that thing for a year. Now, could I hear the difference in my audio quality? Yeah, but I never heard boo from any of my clients, and I was able to keep working through that full year. I moved around, as I said, from, oh gosh, we stayed in 3 different Airbnbs before moving in here, and then I set up the blanket booth right here, right where I'm sitting now, and I worked in the thing for a year. It worked really well. Kept my clients happy. I kept working. It was fantastic. So. So that's kind of wraps up my story here. I have personal experience with these things, and they work out really well. Are they perfect for every situation? Absolutely not. But it's very affordable. You can usually build one on your own for, I don't know, between $300 and $500 or something like that. If you're not comfortable using a measuring tape and a hacksaw, which is really all the tools you need, um, enlist some help. Invite friends and family over. People are always kind of excited and very interested about what voiceover people do anyway. So they'll probably be excited to come over and give you a hand as you put this thing together. Um, are there any other points I wanted to make? No, I think that's about it. So that's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good far outweigh the bad and the ugly. So if you feel nervous about using one of these and if they're really good enough, yeah, they really can be. I hope this is helpful, and stay tuned for more videos from me. I don't post that often, to be perfectly honest, but stay tuned. I try to put up stuff that people are interested in when it comes to voiceover. And anyway, thanks for watching. So if you're just starting out, check out blanket booths. They can be a great option. Take it easy.